all the icons and aesthetic of Mad Men, some of the images and the advertising, including and inspired by the sequence. Mid-century Americana is kind of its own aesthetic. Has having to do with basically post-war optimism, economic stability, patriotism, consumerism, Red Scare, McCarthyism, kind of a thing. Everyone is basically drink a Coke and watch out for commies. That was kind of the mentality of the 50s, as well as, watch out for, nuclear bombs and stuff like that. But that kind of feeling and look, in the advertisement field, in advertisement world, in popular culture, how it reflected American culture, it was, there was an undercurrent. There was a lot going on behind the scenes that these images and stuff really don't show. The rampant racism and civil rights and things of that nature. The undercurrent is a popular convention in movies. You show something happy, but what's going on underneath the surface, so to speak? If you've ever seen any of Tim Burton's films, check out the neighborhood in Edward Scissorhands. It looks so sticky sweet, where it's like happy pastel. All the houses are perfect, pastel colors, perfectly manicured lawns, and on the surface, everybody seems perfect. But what's going on underneath? Well, everybody's got some major problems going on underneath, and that's kind of a fun thing to explore. Same thing with David Lynch's Blue Velvet. One of the best, I think, intro sequences in a movie is basically it shows a guy, again, perfect suburban setting, has a man mowing his lawn, perfect little house, right? But during the mowing of the lawn, he has a heart attack, falls down to the ground. The camera keeps pulling down underneath the ground, and you're seeing all these little insects just feeding on each other, just just going crazy. That's a great metaphor for kind of like hidden subtext. On the surface, everything looks great. What's going on under the surface? What's going on under the hood? Great visual metaphors for that stuff. Sherlock Holmes, 2009. This is one of my favorite franchises. Jude Law, Robert Downey Jr. Really fun, great look. Again, period piece. VFX artists say, yes, great. Watery cobblestone logos. Longitudinal linear linotype layers and lace. Prologue Films opening title sequence and main on end credit work for Guy Ritchie's Sherlock Holmes. The sequence's creative director, named Danny Yount, he's a self-taught Emmy-winning designer director who produced the main titles for 6 Feet Under and The Grid, if you've seen those. And what they did is they broke up, into 3 separate teams to create this project, totaling about 14 people. And they worked around the clock to try and get this done. And the end credit sequence required the most people by far. And I'm going to show you both of that here in a second. And there was like so much detail in the illustration and the translation work, the transition work. It's really just a gorgeous piece of art. But what you're seeing here never made it into the movie. This is a concept that was eventually discarded. And the brief they were given originally was to do a live action shoot that involved like a lot of newspaper headlines from the late 1880s when the main action takes place. And it would give a little history, a little backstory to the early beginnings of Sherlock Holmes and Watson, and lead into the first scene of the film following basically the last headline on top of a stack of newspapers laid at the doorstep. And it's a nice way to kind of give quick history, exposition on a character. You don't have to sit there and be like, and say things like, Sherlock Holmes is one of the famous, London detectives. He solved a lot of crimes. Show it very quickly in newspapers, clippings, and you're going to, and again, show, don't tell. You're going to get a job done very quickly, and you could just jump into the first case, right, in the movie. Anyway, that was the plan. And they also wanted to show part of the printing process of the time period as well. The old printing process, the old Gutenberg printing presses, linotype machines, woodblock type headline compositions. And these are called slugs and stuff like that. And just really cool old technology, all in sepia tones and stuff like that. And actually several months went by and the film had taken shape more. So they decided to basically lose the whole headline sequence completely. They did all that work and then they just basically throw it out. They went from wanting a full main title to having a short main title and a longer, more extensive and elegant end credit sequence. And they also wanted the end credits to be like an anthem to the film, using highlights from the movie, which they did to amazing effect. It's one of my favorite credit sequences of all time. I'm going to show you that right now. But again, these are shots taken from the concepts that were basically thrown out. As you can see, it kind of shares a lot of inspiration and look from the 7 credits, right? I mean, you have medical photos, macro photography, a lot of grunge. This came out, I guess about 20 years after 7, but it certainly looks like a brother or at least a cousin to that credit sequence, right? So you really got to know what's come before you to be inspired to kind of create more on top of that. So check out this really beautiful, beautiful work from Sherlock Holmes.
Clarky. Case reopened.